Pushkin.
Hi, I'm Finneas.
I'm Ashe.
And we're the Favors. And this is our song, Times Square Jesus.
It's easy telling someone how to feel. Not as fun to tell someone you love that it's real. The house your daddy built is underwater. No use trying not to be your mother's daughter. Everybody knows that you're my weakness. You're an open secret, I'm afraid. Every time I walk by Times Square, Jesus, He tells me to confess before my grave. I don't wanna be saved.
She's everything that I've ever wanted to be, because she's yours and I'm no threat, of course.
I still pick up your mother from the airport.
She says I should move on.
I'm just my father's son. Everybody knows that you're my weakness. You're an open secret, I'm afraid. Every time I walk by Times Square, Jesus, tells me to confess before my grave. But I don't wanna be saved. Books you never read fill up your shelf.
Nothing that you said has ever helped.
Using me to talk about yourself. You come off mean, but I know you mean well. Everybody knows that you're my weakness. You're an open secret, I'm afraid. Every time I walk by Times Square, Jesus, He tells me to confess before my grave.
You guys just on the spot, like rearranged that.
Fighting for our lives.
That was all Finneas just now. That was I'm sitting here very impressed by my friend.
The fact you said that earlier, how impressed you were when he sat, because you weren't sure if he had
Worked on it.
He hadn't. It just was kind of, he just kind of fell out of his fingers. Mm-hmm. And you said it was like, how incredible it is to have a friend that talented. And then I'm sitting there and I'm listening to you sing.
Yeah, I know. I feel the same way. Yeah.
Like, you must feel the same
good.
way. Yeah. And it's
making this whole record was like that. It was like, I don't know, two people carrying the same heavy thing, You know what I mean? You're like, oh, you're totally strong. Like I only have to carry my side of this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's really great. I feel like totally, it's fine that in life, oftentimes you're like, one person is better at something than the other person, and so you're like, we're sharing this burden, but sometimes I feel self-conscious when it's me, when I'm like, I'm not lifting the way that this other person is lifting. And I feel like making this record, I was like, oh, we're just like, both of us, I think we're like, this is kind of a light lift because the other person we're with is so competent.
Are there instances where you might more typically feel like you're not carrying your end of the bar, or, you know?
I guess anytime I do something like brand new, like I score film and TV now, and like I'm not very good at it, and you know, I might have a good idea or a good instinct, but like I'm not experienced, so I have to ask a lot of questions. I have to call my music editor and call the filmmaker and, you know, call the music soup or whatever it is and be like, well, what do you think? What should I do? What should I do next? You know, and so I'm grateful to those people for, you know, being down to work with me.
Do you feel comfortable in that position, having to not exactly knowing that you're not exactly sure of what you're doing? But
truthfully, I feel super self-conscious and kind of bad about myself. And but that's the only way I've ever gotten better at anything, is like wanting to not feel that way anymore. Like the first couple records I produced, I was like, I felt so demoralized. And then you just get through a couple of them and you're like, okay, I didn't die.
Yeah.
Let me do some more.
Yeah.
And eventually, like, we made this album in a way where I was like, oh, I feel very confident about how this should sound. And I don't know, I listened to the whole album on the way over here to kind of get like in the headspace of talking about it. And I was like, oh, I love the way this sounds. You know? It's awesome.
Yeah, I feel very well matched in a lot of ways. I'll say, I think we do like probably lift each other up when the other is like maybe not as proficient at something. Like what he just did on piano for Times Square Jesus, I could not have done.
Yeah.
I'm decent at piano. I did the other song, but I am not, you know, I just don't have the same skill set. And I feel like Finneas is that kind of person that's like, I've got your back. Like, I don't think it's always just going to be a 50-50 thing. I think sometimes it's going to be like a 60-40, and we're going to like show up for the other person in the way we need to.
And how often is that balance between the two of you in this particular partnership? How often is that strictly to do with the record and the recording and the writing? And how much of that sometimes just life stuff?
I would say writing the album was like, you know, 50-50, cut the circle in half, like very, very even. And she'd bring stuff in and we'd finish it together. And I brought an idea or two in and we finished it together. And then when we were in the room starting stuff together, it was like the writing of the record was totally 50-50. And then I purposefully made the recording of the record like a little bit raw. It was like me and Ash and the two other guys who contributed musically, who played drums and guitar, all in a living room, really in a room about this size. And Ash and I sang into these mic capsules, and we were in the room about this far away from each other. And so I'm kind of involved. I sort of forced everybody to be present for the whole recording. There was no kind of like, I've made records before where like, maybe if Ash is just singing on that song, she's like going to come in much later in the day. And we didn't do it that way. We like everybody was there for each other's, but like the drummer would play past and we'd just sit there and we'd be like, nice job. Maybe do that ending a little differently. Like it was very democratized.
Communal for sure.
Yeah. In the mixing post-production process, I was sort of doing that on my own because I had the computer. Right. But I'd send Ash everything and get her feedback on it. And then sort of vice versa, like the kind of creative, the visual side of it has been like all helmed by Ash, and all, you know, like references and images she's come up with, which I've loved.
So would you hang around earlier in the day as they're tracking the instrumental bit of it, and then?
Absolutely. I mean, and I had my own opinions about what was getting played.
Tracked.
You know? Yeah. I mean, or Ricky, you know, who's on guitar, would play a riff over and over and over, and he would develop it, and it would like morph into something, because we all were sort of like, oh yeah, that's it. Oh, you're on to something. Or David would be like, try this. But we did when we first sort of came up with the whole concept, I went in going, well, maybe we should hire an engineer so that we're kind of tracking this live, and then you aren't bearing all the weight of the thing.
Like
because
the director, actor.
I was like, you produce all these amazing albums, and then I think truthfully is I felt self-conscious that I wasn't going to lift enough weight
on that end.
And then I think we got to the point where I'm like, we both were like, well, he's a producer. Like, you're a brilliant producer. We're kind of idiots if you don't produce.
There's a
album,
nakedness to making an album that's like, we were really being intimate. Like the four of us know, like the two guys I was with, I've known for years, and Ash got to know intimately through them. So it's the four of us in a room, and then even like the fifth person in the room, several of the days was a photographer named Muriel that Ash is very close with that came in. But there's just this closeness that like allows you to be really brave and really kind of like, even though you are being observed, like you kind of act unobserved. And I felt like that was the thing where I was like, I'm willing to trade, like, I'm a less good engineer than if I hired somebody to come in and do this. And I might make a couple of mistakes along the way, but like the vulnerability is a trade that I'm willing to make of like, yeah, there's just, you kind of are like naked in front of each other. That's how it feels to be singing that way and to be making mistakes over and over. And I just thought like, oh, somebody that I'm not so comfortable with might throw off the juju of the thing. I mean, like, yeah, I feel like this album was like a real chemistry album. It's like that was what made it really fun. Even like her talking about the, like Ricky developing his guitar part, like that process can make you feel self-conscious. If you're sitting there noodling and three people are like, no, not that. I like, no, I like that part better. Like he had to be so kind of willing to let us editorialize. And he was, you know, so I think that whole kind of experience, even like parts where Ash is like, I don't know about that harmony part. And you're like, great, let's think of the other one. Let's try another one. You know what I mean? Like just kind of have to be brave in front of each other. So it was nice to have it be sort of private, although if we made another record, I'd try to, I'll put it this way. Making this album made me hire an engineer. It made me be like, I wish I had an engineer that I worked with all the time.
Really?
Yeah.
Because that intimate nature, the intimateness and the personalness it feels in a lot of ways like the conceit of the album. Yeah. When you listen to it as a whole, you know, I got to hear a couple of songs as they came out early, and then when I finally got sent the full album and I listened to it, I was like, I get what this is.
Sure.
You know? But you would make it a little different this time though, or another time. If
I
you
would make that album differently. I think I would try to distill the things that went well about making that record and then incorporate additional things.
Got it. Yeah, got it. And you guys made this a bit ago, right? A couple of years ago, or was it?
When we finish it?
A year ago, right now.
A year ago now, yeah.
A year ago, okay.
It's kind of nuts.
And before you guys did your last two solo records, right?
I finished mine before we finished this.
Same.
Yeah,
okay.
But it was, but we
kind of
started it.
Yeah, I finished mine pointedly. I was like finished mine like by July 4th, and then we recorded most of this record starting on like the 20th or something. It was like it was very close in proximity.
Got it. Because as I was listening to Wilson, as I was listening to
For Crying Out Loud, yeah.
Yes, exactly, and then listening to this again, I was trying to discern if there was a relationship between the three, or if this was something completely unique and separate creatively for you guys. And I don't know how you guys.
I wrote all of For Crying Out Loud after we wrote half of this record, and so I knew in my mind like that stuff is going to come out. So I was probably sort of to some degree trying to not.
You were informed by.
Yeah, well, trying not to copy it. I didn't want to go and make this album twice,
right?
Because I wanted it to be special, and then I also didn't want to have there be like no paper trail. Like if I'd made like a really experimental synthy album, and then was like, "Hey guys, like buy tickets to the Favors show," I think that would be a stranger transition. There's songs on my last record like Cleats, and even the single For Crying Out Loud that like they feel like my own, but like they make sense that this came after that to me.
Yeah.
I feel the same about Wilson. Wilson has a organic feeling.
I think, also similarly organic. But, I mean, topically,
different.
You know, Wilson was such a self-examination of, you know, I almost quit music and like a journey back to music and like relationship with being public person at all and just traumas and yada yada, whereas this record was such a experiment in writing with these other characters and personas and sort of writing like a script, which I've never done before and
Same.
was super fun and kind of liberating in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We should talk about the writing process because that song in particular, Times Square Jesus, is, I thought it's one of my favorite songs on the album.
Thank you.
And in a way, because when you hear when I heard the first verse at first, I wasn't 100% sure what the song was about.
Sure.
Then I heard the chorus. And I was like, oh, I think I know what the song's about. And then it gets to the second verse. I'm like, actually, I really don't know what this song's about. But like in the best way, like not in like, it's like this song's like it's clearly feels like it's like a song that's gonna like unfurl over and maybe change meanings. But how did you guys, like, what was the writing process on that song?
The writing process on that song was really specific. Do you want to talk about it? It's awesome.
It was really cute of us. I mean, from the jump, it was like I knew we needed an acoustic guitar song on the record, which we hadn't had yet. And we were pretty deep into making the album. And I was like, we're idiots if we don't make that song. And I think I probably said that and walked away. And then I grabbed a cold brew for the millionth time of the day, and then walked in, and Finneas was playing the acoustic. He was playing that riff. That's the main sort of melodic hook of Times Square Jesus. And I was similar to just now when he just pulled this out of his pocket with Times Square. I was like jaw dropped. Like, that's unbelievable. That's the song. Let's go from there. And I think we started with the chorus.
Yeah, everybody knows that you're my weakness. I think to me, like, I only need one line to be like, great, like, I'm in. Let's write the rest of this song. Like, everybody knows that you're my weakness. You're an open secret, I'm afraid, to me. I was like, all right, great. Like, that's worth pursuing all day. That's great.
And Finneas kept like rattling off like, like when you're in Times Square and it's like the person,
the Elvis,
like, the Elvis, and then he came with aim up with Times Square Jesus, and everyone was like, that's it. That's so good.
It's really good. It's a super accessible like image, you know, and it's like you know what it is when you hear it, but then it's obscured kind of by like
coming across
a Jesus.
Times Square Jesus.
Well, and in
him
LA,
being like, tell me your sins.
In LA, you do see like a Jesus every 2 years, like on an overpass or something. And you're like, and it's always weird because you're like, I know that's a guy, but like Jesus was a guy. Like, you're like,
could be.
Like, huh?
You have to wonder.
Yeah, it definitely makes you get introspective for an hour.
Yeah.
It's like what was that? What if God was one of us?
Oh, the best song ever.
You know, it's
by whatever that group is called. That song is the greatest. Yeah. Well, what if God was one of us? Just a stranger on the bus trying to make his way home. That's a great song.
Oof.
Yeah, but anyway, so then we had the hook,
and then I don't know what got into me. Yeah. But I
cold brew.
Sort of was like, it's usually the cold brew. And I was like, what if we did like an experiment where we break off into groups and each write a verse? And Finneas, as like such an earnest, pure man, was like, I love that. Let's go write a beautiful verse. And then me and Ricky go to the side and I'm like, we have to write the best verse of all time. We got to beat their verse. And then
you did.
No, I did
great
not.
Verse.
We were like, best verse gets the first verse. And sure enough, neither of those verses did they? No, your verse ended up being the first verse, but you like
we changed all of it.
Things?
We no.
Were
our
you
verse
books
was
on a shelf?
Our verse was like the third verse. The books and the whatever that was in the. Yeah, I mean, we wrote these unconnected things. We had the chorus in common to kind of get in and out of, and then we wrote these different things. But I think that like Ash wrote this verse that I loved, and then I was like, oh well, then let me write a prequel to your verse. Like, your verse is great, but let me contextualize it, and then I'll just mirror all of the good stuff you wrote.
And what was it that she wrote that you particularly?
I loved that she says you're too much your father's son. I loved the
still pick up your mother from the airport.
Yeah,
was
that
Ricky.
was sad. And yeah, I just thought it was a pure image, and so ours was the house your daddy built was underwater, and you're your mother's daughter, and this kind of like, there's a lot of sort of like psychoanalyzing somebody that you used to be in love with on this record. That's kind of like the main theme, is this sort of like, remember the history of all of this stuff that I know about you. There's a song near the end of the record called Lake George that's like, I've seen the place you were born. That's like one of the lines. And I feel like that's kind of the whole album, is like,
Yeah.
I know so much about you. Even though you're in the rearview mirror of my life, I know all of this stuff about you. And, you know, whoever you're with now knows less. Which is, I think, a hard feeling not to have to some degree in your life, especially the older you get, because your young relationships, they were young too. And so you're like, I was there. I was part of your origin story. And then now you're off saying whatever you want about yourself. But I know what it was like. I know how you were at 18.
And like who you are
Yeah.
is part of because I was in your life.
That's right.
Like I'm me because this kid Taylor was my first boyfriend for 5 years.
Right, exactly.
That's a long time for a first boyfriend.
I know.
I had a 4-year first girlfriend. Yeah,
We're real
long, monogamous people.
romantic.
Wow.
Yeah.
But I think that like the verses, the abstract part of the verses, to me, I was listening to songs of Leonard Cohen a lot when I was working on this record with you, and like he's a real poet, but I don't know what he means. You know what I mean? I know that it's evocative and it's interesting, and maybe he can justify, like I can kind of justify every line in the song, but it's not important to me. What's important to me is like the abstract quality. I think we've entered in the last 10 years into a hyper specific period of songwriting.
I saw you on the street, and then you took out your pencil. And then you
I
walked
saw you.
into
Saw you on the corner of, you know, this specific
And you
street at the
texted your-
CVS pharmacy. Like, it's so
Yeah.
kind of plebeian, and there is a kind of there is a power in it. But sometimes I'm like, sure, but like, if you tell me that a house was beautiful, I'll just imagine a beautiful house. I don't have to then hear all about, you know what I mean? Like
our
there's a
house.
kind of,
It's like you, what house?
exactly.
Who knows what house? You never knew. And then
It's
when
a
you
very,
do
very,
see
very
it, you're
fine
like,
house. Yeah. But I think that to me is like this song's sort of opaque quality to me is like, I love that. I love just sort of like picking out little lines.
I mean, I know we're sitting here like talking about the songs, but I do think it's a annoying trait when people over explain.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because I don't want to know what Chris Martin meant by It Was All Yellow.
Right.
Like, I like what I make up in my own, because I am a romantic and all the things.
I learned a couple years ago, I was like, people would come up to me and they go, what did this line in this one song mean? And I'd tell them, and they'd be like, oh, well, what I thought it was this. And I'd be like, well, then that's great. Like let's just
They're all disillusioned with
well,
you.
like, well, and like they're not interested in they're not actually, what they really want to hear is that I thought the exact same thing they did, which I inevitably never did.
Ever,
And so like now I just go like, what does it mean to you? And they say it, and I'm like, I love that. I'm like, that's great.
That's
So
what a
like,
move. That's a great move.
I just pretend that I'm like, that's amazing.
I mean, that's like the human conditions. Everyone just walks around wanting to be affirmed on some level. And of course, whatever your interpretation of your own lyrics
Really true.
could not live up to what someone else has like imbued to them over
really
the
true.
you know, 3, 4, 5 years of listening, or even a single couple of listens. That was a pretty unique version of writing.
Yeah, it was that was the only song that we did that on.
Okay.
And we were, again, very deep into the album. That point, it really felt like we had nothing to lose.
Yeah, the other really like groupthink songs were like there's Home Sweet Home, David's Brother, The Dream. Those are the other three that were like, we're all shooting ideas over the table at each other, and that was also really fun. And
What David's Brothers is a cool one too. What was the spark for that one?
Ash was playing that cool piano part with chords I really don't. This is the best part about writing songs with other people, is like chords that are not always in my back pocket, like not the thing my fingers go to, and I love the chords. And then she'd been at the keys all week, and so she was kind of like, man, I've had to sit here and play and sing the whole time. So I was like, that's okay, I'll play it for you. So she wrote the piano part, but then I sat and played it so she could kind of like think and sing.
Well, and he has like such a way with like rhythm. Rhythm on piano is it's just not that easy. And like, I was like, this will be a better song if we switch. And by switching, I'm not going to play an instrument anymore. And you have one. And yeah.
But that was really fun. And that was, again, like kind of a high concept of like, got a couple lines deep. I remember like hold my breath and count to 30, which is such a long number. It sang
So long.
It sang really good, but you're like 30 holding your breath for 30 seconds is you're gonna feel it. But it was really about kind of like spinning out after a breakup, and the premise is like you're at home and your house is a mess and you're like, this is pathetic, like I gotta go out, and then you go out and you run into the person that you've broken up with and you're like, this is way worse, like this is I should have stayed home. And so that became the whole thing. And then we had this kind of like geographical thing on the record. There's Times Square Jesus and the Hudson, and Home Sweet Home is a bar in New York, and we had the song The Dream, and we really made this kind of LA New York record. So we were listing all these bars in LA. Like we're gonna say, we had the line acupuncture, doing therapy and acupuncture, change my shirt, my clothes, and my
number.
Yeah. And so we're like, what's a bar that rhymes with number? And we were slant rhyming with a bar called 4100 that's on the east side. And Ash was like, 4100 is a stupid bar name to sing. Like, she's like, I live in Nashville. Like, that doesn't...
I was the voice of reason for sure. Because these three boys were like,
yeah, 4100.
4100. That's so good.
I think when you have been there, you picture, like, I think that bar is like CD. And so I was like, oh, that's funny to sing about that bar. And Ash was like, saying 4100, it's not like the Dresden has a cool name. The Sunset Tower is a cool name. 1400 is just like a number. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we were like, well, what's a bar that, and then David was like, well, my brother goes to that bar all the time. We were like, what if we just never say the name of the bar? It's just like you're at the bar that with David's brother, because that was the bar that he went to. And then it became this kind of like, who the fuck is David's brother? Like you're dating, the girl you used to date is now on a date with David's brother. And you're like, God damn it, that sucks. And I don't know, the whole thing became privately funny to us. And then it was like, all right, how can we illustrate that this is funny? And then there's like those lines in the second verse that's like,
Daddy was a tennis star.
Well, that's in The Dream.
Oh,
but we had,
you're right.
But there's those lines that's like, try to be a different person.
Made a joke and took a shot.
What a way to learn your lesson of who you are and who you're not. What's the one with the eighth in my purse? And I've never looked better, but I've never felt worse. It's a lot. It's just kind of about, picking yourself up and trying to move on with your life. And
waking up in a basement.
Also
no, is that the dream? You know why I keep confusing
we can talk about The Dream.
Can we switch the topic?
Yeah.
I had a very similar experience writing both of those songs because I pretty much just watched and like cracked up the entire time. Because the three, like Ricky, David, and Finneas are like, they're the triple crown. Like they're the Three Stooges, you know, and they do have this camaraderie that they so graciously let me step into in making this album. But they definitely had an established sort of like very, very close best friend and boys,
Oh, man.
And so they were just like riffing and cracking up the entire time, writing specifically those two songs. So I'm kind of thinking of that.
Did it take a while to be able to step into that and feel comfortable, like just sort of
I don't think I
observing
ever got comfortable.
Oh, no.
Not in like a, guys, like, let me in. Not at all that. But more so like I have no interest in my voice being heard if it's not like needed.
Sure.
Like if I have a great line, I'm not going to be like, hey guys, I have something to say. But if I'm like observing them being so intellectual and funny and, I have no interest in like, hey guys, remember my ego in the room.
Well, I would argue too that like there's two roles in a room like that. And it's like, they're both totally equal contributions, which is like concepting and then actual like rhyming syllables. Mm-hmm. So like my memory is that like we were all really concepting, even down to the name of the bar thing, right? Where you're like, that's not the right name. You know what I mean? Like that is that's an equal contribution to like saying the word acupuncture in the song. It's like, well, what's kind of like one of us being like, yeah, well, you're trying to make yourself feel better, and you're shaving your beard, or you're
yeah.
you're
I joined in on the razzing too. Like I razzed Ricky about
lines.
Yeah,
but I think that like the role is one or the other. Like David, for like in The Dream, you write parts of the song without knowing what you're necessarily writing. And so we were writing what ended up being the bridge, which is that crazy run-on sentence, which is, I know if you wanted to call, you would. You live in your car, but you say you're in Hollywood. Sold your guitar just to pay for that video you sent to the studio. It's all about who you know.
I feel like that's another one like that too. That's
the
really
pre-chorus is like hard not to feel pathetic, maxing out your credit card on someone's beverage.
Yes,
but again,
incredible.
It's like those are all kind of like born of the seed of like, we're like, you're like, what's a fucked up thing to do? It's a fucked up thing to make to do an American Idol audition and mail that in, and like we're talking about like, the person that we like. You live in LA and everybody has like a distant relative or a friend who like came here with the same dream you had and like did not succeed and is either pretending that they succeeded or they're, making it work, whatever it is. So like, again, a lot of it's like the concept of like, like somebody who lives in their car. Yeah, that's good. Okay. Well, they made maybe they just auditioned for American Idol, whatever. And you're like, do we say American Idol? Do we say like, do we make it more vague? Do we say that video and like talk about, so I don't know. To me, that's all kind of like writer's room behavior. Yeah. The one I always point to David at is we had that like somebody that you've met at the bar, she lives in Venice. And then we had like rhyming that, like maybe your dad is a dentist. And then David was like, her dad was a tennis star. And we were like,
I quit.
Yeah, that was like
good.
a line
really
I never
good.
would have thought of. And it rhymed even better because you're rhyming bar.
Oh.
But it was also just like, that's what her dad is. Like the premise of that song is like, you meet a Nepo baby. Like you move to LA broke as fuck and you go to the bar and there's a really pretty girl who's clearly born a millionaire. And you're like, oh, let me buy you a drink. And you're like, you don't even have the money. And money is of no concern to this person because her dad is, Roger Federer or whatever it is. Like to me, I don't know. It's the best part of having somebody like David there where you're like, oh, I wouldn't have thought of that. And that's even better. It's way better.
You mentioned like the ideating part of songwriting and then there's like the separate part, which is like finding maybe like the internal rhymes of a song. Is that something that you both separately, is that a pretty tried and true process for the both of you or for necessarily neither of you all the time?
I think it really changes. I start like smack dab in the middle of a song and I'll usually find like a lyric that grabs me and then I go from there.
Do you know it's the middle always, or is it just turn out to be like the middle?
No, sometimes the middle turns out to be the beginning, but in my head, like there's like a freedom to that.
Yeah.
There was a song, Lake George started that way. I was on a walk. It was the last song that we wrote on the album.
Oh, man.
And I was staying with Finneas and Claudia, and I went on a walk that morning because I'm up like god awful 5 a.m. well before them.
Wow.
And I make the joke like my biggest contribution to this band is like all of my best ideas come sort of like alone and on a walk at 6 or 7. And I was listening to Bookends by Simon and Garfunkel.
Oh, man, nice.
And the Lake George sounds is nothing like anything on that record, but it sparked something.
It's a story album. It's like old friends and stuff.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I brought in like a verse and a chorus to Finneas, and we went from there. Yeah, I don't know what the point I was making. But.
Oh, concept. I write.
Yes.
I'm gonna write not better, but way faster if I have a concept. If I have a thing to build,
you're like, what are we talking about?
Yeah. Like the best example maybe in my life of that was like the Barbie song Billie and I wrote. Like I'd seen the movie. I knew what scene they needed a song for. Like to me, I had like every piece of information to write that. Like I had all the Legos. You know what I mean?
You did it like overnight, didn't you?
We did it in like an hour. It was so fast.
So cool.
But it was because it was so informed. Like a lot of making a song is very uninformed. You're like, that's a pretty melody. What are we saying? What's the line? Who is this? You know what I mean? It's like a lot of discovery.
Yeah.
And so if you can get a kind of a, foundation under your feet to like be like, oh, I know where I'm standing. Then you can be like, I can walk that direction.
And you don't worry that it'll be too on the nose if you already have this.
Because then you don't have to, because you can still say anything, but it's just kind of it's just the seed of like, what am I seeing? What am I writing about?
You can still say anything is like, really smart. It's a good quote.
You don't have to feel locked in.
Yeah.
Yeah, George Drakoulias was telling me how he you guys went
George.
saw that. He's like, yeah, it was just asked would they want to do it, and then came watch the movie, and then
no, that was a good example.
Night, they just said it.
That was a good example of how I feel like I've been rewarded for acting this way, which is we get put in touch with Greta Gerwig. We get sent to, I guess, Warner or wherever we were. And it was Greta and David Heyman, who I'm like, that's that motherfucker from the Harry Potter behind the scenes DVDs, because he's produced all the Harry Potter movies. So it's Heyman, Greta, and George all with us. And it was they're being very effusive and accommodating. You know what I mean? Whatever you want to do. And I was like, what do you need? What scene do you need a song? Let us do that. You know what I mean? I know we could do whatever, but let's be handyman for you, you know? So kind of getting her to be if we need one song, it's really this one song for this one scene.
So
and we're
smart.
Great. But again, it's you kind of have to let people, you have to be I know you're being accommodating to me, but I want to be helpful. I want to, it's Ash being we need a guitar song for this part. You know what I mean? Okay, great. Let's write a guitar song.
That is a really big strength of Finneas's though. And I think he's made me a better writer in that regard, because I think that I do have a tendency to find something that excites me, like a lyric or a word or a title, and then I'll just sculpt away everything that isn't the song, and then you're left with I know what I was saying. You kind of let it reveal itself.
Yeah, but those make such great songs.
Some of those are really good songs, but I do think he's made me a better writer, and let's figure out what we're talking about and then paint a picture, you know.
I mean, that's also by virtue of Ash can do that all day long and write an amazing song alone. But if I'm going to be helpful at all, I'm what does that line mean? You know what I mean?
I mean, if you're going to be that sort of group dynamic of writing,
or even just the two of us. Yeah, it's I'm going to write something stupid if I am not in the same place that she's in. I've worked with some really talented songwriters who won't divulge whether they know or not. They won't clue me in
to why
they're saying that line.
Does them such a disservice.
Yeah, I mean, it's self-consciousness, or it's.
Is that what it is?
Privacy or whatever it is, or vulnerability, or fuck, I don't want to tell that person that this is what it is. I really empathize, but it makes me useless. I'm all right, well, I can sit here and play guitar for you, but I can't come up with a good line. I don't know what you're talking about.
Do you even try in those scenarios, or do you just kind of?
No, I mean, I'll keep asking questions, but if they won't tell me, I'm all right, dude, Joe, let me press record then.
Yeah,
I've had days with Billie where she's I don't know. Been that way in the past years ago. Yeah. Usually it's before a breakup.
Oh.
Yeah.
And then you go through the breakup and you're right.
So you kind of know it's an early tell. You can kind of tell. It's
it's an early tell that somebody is thinking something that they're not telling you. I mean, and that's just kind of knowing any friend. Anytime you're somebody's answer is uncomplicated, how have you been? And they're I've been great. You're all right, dude. If you were actually great,
person.
you could tell me why. You know what I mean? You could be this thing's been really fun, and I've been really having a great time surfing, whatever it is. Somebody's I've been doing great. You're all right.
You're miserable.
You're lying.
It makes me feel good, because I don't think I ever give a straight answer to a question. Everything's everything. It's all good. You know,
I'm a rambler.
It is what it is.
I had a session with Tobias Jesser Jr. before I really knew him as a person, and I was I've never said this out loud, but I think I'm going to leave my husband.
Wow.
You know? And that's what writing sessions are really good for, if you're willing to be sort of vulnerable. And listen, I mean, that was a really scary thing to say out loud, but
you're also protected by not knowing him to some degree.
Yeah.
It's not your
the
mutual
comfort
friend.
of strangers, for sure.
Yeah. It's like a trial run, testing it out, saying it out loud.
Yeah. I said I work with this girl, Lucy Healy, a lot, and she's awesome. And she does my jobs. We do the same thing separately, and then we've worked together. And I said to her 5 weeks ago, I was what do you think it is about us that makes everybody tell us all of their secrets? And, it's not true universally, but I do think it's first of all, most people are way less curious than you'd think they are. Most people are not asking enough questions.
Yeah.
And then I also think that we're not honest with people because of their reactions. We really underestimate how informed we are by reaction. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's you show your friend the thing you're proud of if you feel like they're gonna see it and acknowledge it, and really to like understand why you're proud of it. You know what I mean? Like you really are sort of learned by your reactions to stuff. And I think one of the things that I have really learned from songwriting is like people do low key sit with you and tell you traumatic stuff that they've been through, or they do what Ashe did to Tobias and they tell you something that they've decided they're going to do that then is kind of your secret to keep, And I think it's really important to not really bat an eye, to kind of sit there and just be like, okay, thanks for sharing that. I now I know you more clearly.
There was, I don't know how real it is or not, but either in relation to this project or in relation to projects of yours in the past, I've heard you talk about bringing in non-musical references to sort of help shape songs. Is that a accurate
imagery and stuff?
Yeah, definitely when it comes to visuals. I don't know how much it completely informed our lyricism on this record, but once we really got into like the meat and potatoes of the album, I was sending pictures of like JFK and Jackie O, and I was like, this could be us on a sailboat.
I thought you sent imagery like before we even wrote songs. I felt
I might have.
I thought you sent imagery so early, which I loved. I was like, great.
There's definitely a Pinterest board of like Paul Newman, and I'm like, Finneas is Paul Newman, and he's gonna start tucking his shirts in and wearing.
And then I did.
And then
your shirt is tucked. That's great.
Yeah, and he looks so.
You
cool.
kind of have a Newman look going. It's like the casual, cool,
So
like it's like
funny.
Yeah, I think I am a real fan of like bringing people into an entire like mini universe.
Okay.
So when you're listening to an album, you're like, I am so clearly in this world. Whether or not we were in that world when we were making it, I just think there's something more enticing about a full like
an image
picture,
Yeah, Ricky, who plays guitar in our band, is aesthetically motivated like Ashe is, and I think like his face lights up whenever I talk about like what we're all going to kind of wear for the shows. Like, I'm not saying we all wear this, but I've often been like, I really want us to look coordinated, like whatever it is. I want us to really look like a unit. Like to me, that's a band thing. That's the difference between like a solo artist and players. Is like if a band really looks like it has a cohesive thing. And he has such good references, and he's like telling me
one of the coolest looking dudes.
Style periods that like I don't know about. What
was he saying?
90s airport casual, and you're like, all right, man. Like
I love
like
that.
things where you're like, wow, okay. But it's all whenever I look it up, I'm like, oh yeah, that's great looking.
Did you guys land on something?
We have some stuff that I won't speak out of existence here, but we have some good pulls.
Okay, all right. If you said it was 90s airport casual,
it's not.
I have no idea what it looked like anyway.
I briefly went down a 90s airport casual thing, and it was crazy.
What is
not
like,
that?
Yeah, what?
It's like Woody Harrelson wearing like the loudest Letterman jacket in the world and tucking his pants into his socks and shit. It's insane.
Finneas asked what I was gonna wear today to this, and I sent him a picture of the outfit, and it was like secretary on lunch, like. Everything has like its own slogan.
I have 4 outfits total in my life, and I use Ashe as my barometer of like formal versus casual, right? So like of my 4 outfits, I'm like, how formal are we going? And if she goes formal, I'm like, all right, I'm wearing a suit. And if it's casual, I'm like, all right, I'll wear my shirt.
Although it's really cool at Hyde Park, he brought me out, which was so sweet. In this, we're singing to like 60,000 people, and he went out in like a cool like
Marnie shirt,
open button down, and he looked so laid back. And I walked on in this like full sparkle like diva'd out thing, and like I saw comments that were like, they're beefing, like they're not on the same page.
Awesome.
I thought we looked so cool. Actually,
I thought so
the
too.
contrast was sick.
Yeah.
But I was like, well, I'm kind of down whether you think we're fighting.
And I
or
knew what you were wearing.
whatever.
I wore it on purpose. I was like, this will look great with Ashe's thing.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
You were calculated
funny.
about it. I love that they thought we were fighting.
I hope they always do.
Yeah, that's fun.
The level of like meta narrative that I feel like fans build
Dude.
around like art. I mean, not even particularly you guys, but you can talk about
Oh my
yourself if
God,
you want, but
us?
artists in
Can we
general.
talk about ourselves? Just kidding.
No, I mean, I feel like probably you know, through all of time, but I think certainly in the last several years, like we talk about, you know, Kendrick, but it's all rap beef. Like Olivia Rodrigo's first album is rap beef.
Yeah.
Kind of. Yeah.
Like it's and what I say by rap beef is like,
what can we say out loud?
what I say about that is like, what we want from rap beef is, oh, I know who they're singing about.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And that's really what kind of is the motivator in most popular music, is like, oh snap, I know that song is about that guy that's now dating that person. Like there is a lot of we're invested in it, you know. And
I guess it's the rumors playbook too. If you
well,
think about
exactly.
it,
It's clearly all been going around for
Yeah.
a long time. I mean, I think that, you know, our relationship with artists on social media platforms is exacerbated. We can pick apart rumors in retrospect, but like when rumors came out, they didn't know that was what was going on. They just were like, wow, great songs. They sound in love. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then like you dissect it years later, but now it's in real time.
Yeah, dissecting in real time. Like does that impact how you guys feel about stuff when you put it out? Because it's like as soon as something comes out, there's no like gestation period.
Oh,
Just
I
obviously
mean, that
people
shit
are,
drives me
pulling-
crazy. I like anytime I work on a project and I send somebody something and they react instantly, you know, they have a note or something. I'm like, motherfucker, sit on it for a day. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
often are you like shown something and you love it immediately? Stuff takes time to like process and absorb, you know. It's
I'm
a
more
drag.
like her. Like like sometimes someone sends me something.
Yeah.
I've nothing for it. It's
I
like,
mean, moral of the story, which is Ash's biggest song, like a year later started to blow up, which to me is a real testament to like,
what's the story on that?
well, the story is that it was being underserved by a label, which is true of most music in the world, you know, even great labels. It's like, it's
It just
hard to
wasn't getting
serve
heard.
songs.
Yeah.
Didn't even get on like New Music Friday on Spotify when it came out. This was back in the period of time where I felt like playlists were kind of the top dog in
driving,
music discovery.
Yeah.
Now it's not true anymore, but it was. And so it just was like underserved. Everybody that would hear it was like, this is an awesome song. I'd go to her shows and like everybody loved the song, but it just wasn't exposed. And then it got an amazing sync in a Netflix film. And so then it was really had good exposure. I mean, people still had to do legwork. They still had to like the scene in the movie and go look up the song, but they did, you know, and then it started to get really popular.
Are syncs the main driver now? Is that the
No.
They help.
Yeah, syncs totally help, but people are everybody's viewership is so fragmented. There is
It
no
feels
fair
like the
point.
main driver is rap beef.
yes,
Like
100%.
And I think that, you know, I think Finneas and I both went into this going like, we know what they're gonna do with this project. Like,
yeah, they're gonna think we're Stevie Nicks and
how
Lindsey
people are
Buckingham,
gonna
and they're gonna
respond. Also, we're like, there isn't a lot of what we created with the favors isn't happening a ton. Like
almost not like
there's like a really specific lane that we stepped into that like we knew there was going to be the Fleetwood Mac comparisons and all of that. And like, that's okay. I think I really like, it wasn't until Little Mess came out that we were like, because we were in New York doing press before Little Mess came out.
That's right.
We were sitting on your couch and we were like, people are probably going to, you know, create a narrative for us. How do we feel about that? And how are we going to respond? And we were very casual about it. And we were very like, you know, it'll be what it's going to be.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes. And then Little Mess came out and it was like,
it was extreme.
an initial like sort of, intensity.
Yeah, I think that the difference is like if we were both single, I'd probably feel like no desire to defend anybody. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'd be like, well, whatever. We are just friends, but they can think whatever they want, whatever. But I think the fact that we're both in like really long committed relationships, not only do I have a desire to like be like, no, you guys don't understand. John, Ash's fiance, I love John.
Yeah.
Like everything is great. We love that guy. Claudia and I are great. Like, not only do I have that element of it, but I also think that like I don't want people to think that we're scumbags when we're not. You know what I mean? Like I think that that's kind of
like
more
there's
than
a real
anything else.
integrity.
Yeah, I think that more than anything else, you're like, no. Don't think that we're like bad people, or you know, not that you're a bad person if you have an affair, but don't think we're doing an illicit thing.
It's more fun too, by the way, that it's not
Well,
Like,
it's
that
more.
It's
in the
less
realm
It's
of-
definitely
predictable.
safer. It's definitely like gonna make our careers longer. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
there's
yeah.
no.
Maybe our lives longer.
Oh my God, I was having some conversation with somebody the other day about somebody else that I will not name. But I was like, oh yeah, I mean, they're, they don't talk. And they were like, why? And I was like, well, they had an affair. And they were like, why don't they talk? And I was like, what do you mean? They had an affair, dude. Like, there is no, like, it is so rare to do a destructive thing and then salvage any form of your relationship after that. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
even if you're the people having an affair, you're like, it's going to be bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, again, it's like, I think somebody said, they were like, it's you guys, but it's not you guys. Like, it really is like it's the same to me as your music video persona, right? Ashe stars in an Ashe music video. She's tap dancing. There are backup dancers, whatever. There's like an interesting narrative thing. It's not really her, but it is really her, right? Like, it's
Kind of like how we are when we're live.
that's exactly what I'm saying. Like
Yeah.
the Hudson music video, which I love, is like, we're running around New York, we're holding hands, we're singing to each other, we're dancing on top of a chess set. Like, it's not us. It is us because we're singing the song and it's us in the video and we're friends. But it's like, it's fulfilling a narrative, kind of like we're talking about in all things. It's like you're really trying to like show people the narrative that the song is articulating.
Yeah.
You know?
I want to pick back up the Hudson thread, but but before moving to that, I want to go back to like what you said earlier, which is that like you guys both stepped squarely into like a genre.
Yeah.
I was shocked how little that's actually happened, like outside of like Johnny Cash and like June Carter have done some stuff, or like Tammy Wynette and like George Jones, like, but there's it's like it's a lot of country, and then it's like Fleetwood Mac,
Lady Gaga and
then
Tony Bennett.
Lady
like straight up.
well, yeah, right.
You know?
There's those. And then there's like one-off like one-offs, like, but
yeah, like Islands in the Stream.
yeah, exactly.
The duets that have been famously famous, but
But a whole album,
Yeah.
like in
That's
this
like the
vein
Civil
is-
Wars and Fleetwood Mac, and there's probably others that I mean, like, this is like the Marias are in that boat right
sure.
now. There's like Josh and Maria both singing and writing, and she's really like singing 90% of it. But
that was another important thing I think to Finneas and I was we didn't want it to just be like a duet record. We wanted to be sort of like parallel singing with each other, and either in unison or harmony. But if we're in harmony, you're not really sure who's doing the harmony and who's doing the lead. Like, that was an important piece of us creating it.
I'm not even sure who's doing that, like in the songs, like who's doing what narratively, unless you're really focused maybe on like the pronouns, but if you're just sort of just kind of letting it wash over, it's like, who did what?
There's
now?
a crazy TikTok that went viral of us singing Till Forever Falls Apart, and the camera's only on me, but it's you singing, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, I thought she is the the boyish."
interesting.
But yeah, I think it's a cool. We do blend really nicely too. That was like a stroke of luck of being good friends that sound good together.
Yeah.
How did the whole thing come together, and how did like the favors? How did obviously you guys have collaborated to a degree before.
Well, I mean, the real impetus was I was taking a pretty big like musical hiatus and was very unsure about returning to making music again, and for loads of reasons, for burnout reasons, for being a little disillusioned by the music industry or entertainment industry, but also just like not having dealt with serious trauma in my life, yada yada. So I was like, goodbye world, in February
Wow, that's
of 2023. Yep. And like 2 months into that, like therapy and whatnot, I started like, can I be creative in other ways? And I started writing this like script that was about a band. And I was like, what? Like, imagine there's these two characters and they're going on this whatever. We want to start a band, blah, 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 blah. And then I was like, I know nothing about writing scripts for one. So you're an idiot. And for 2, I've never been in a band. So if I want to be a writer, I should read more, and I need to start a band and like probably fulfill that.
I've written some scripts too, and I've read so few of them that like when I'm writing, I'm like exterior, I guess. Like I'm writing, I'm like, God,
daylight.
Yeah. I always joke. Anytime anyone's like, "Are you going to write a book ever?" I'm like, I'd have to read one first. Like there's like I'm good at making music because I love listening to music.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Sorry, that's the thing I love listening to.
Absolutely. I sort of was like, that's a dumb idea. Why am I trying to do that? And then I hit Finneas and was like, hear me out. You know, do you want to try this thing with me? And it was such an immediate yes. Do you want to start a band? I was like, hear me out. We start a band and we put out one album, or whatever we write, we cut. That's the album. We put it out, play a week or 2 of shows, and call it a day. And, he replied all caps like, yes, please. And then this solves all my problems, which is really sweet. And 6 months later, we were making the album.
What made you so receptive to it at that point? Because I in my mind, you'd collaborated with more people than you had. Like when I went back and looked, I was like, yeah, but
not that many.
Actually collaborated with as many people as I thought. And so it is,
Like, why'd he take a chance?
Love Ash. Like, love the idea of getting to work with her more. It sounded so fun. I think it was so kind of like, even though it wasn't, it felt so sort of like clearly conceived. I was like, oh, I can picture that. Obviously, I pictured, you can't. Like, I didn't picture the 12 songs we ended up with and whatever, but I was like, oh, I can see that. I can see loving that. I can see thinking that's great. Yeah. And it was also like one of those things where like the other rule is like, say yes to the thing you'd be jealous of if somebody else did it,
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, like that's been,
good.
Not to toot our own horn, but like the last year of kind of like when it's been wrapping up and I've told some people about it, they're like, damn.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I think because it just scratches a lot of like the itch of why all of us do this. Like it's kind of like the album's called The Dream, but like the dream that we all kind of had in like high school was like, dude,
I'm going to be in the band.
What if me and my best friends were in this band and then we got to play whatever, Austin City Limits or something. And like, yeah, you make these sort of compromises along like the, has it been a complete dream come true that I've gotten to like do all this stuff with my sister? Oh my God. Yes. It's been the best thing in the world. And I love working with her. I'll work with her until I die. I love working with her. I loved touring with her all those years. I didn't have the mental capacity to picture that growing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When I'm 15, Billy's 11. Yeah. Right? I'm not like, dude.
There's no one.
You know what I mean?
Older brother's dream.
Well, it's not. It's just like too hard to imagine. If somebody said like, "Would that be cool to you?" I'd be like, "Of course that'd be cool to me." I didn't know that was an option. But what I always joke like my high school dreams were like, I want my band to open for a band that plays the Fonda Theater in LA, which is like 1,200 people. That's how big my dreams were. They were very small.
Sounds awesome. By the way.
And again, so I think telling people over the past year, like, well, yeah, Ash and I like are going to start a band and it's got a band name and we're just going to do like cool one-off shows kind of. We're not going to like hit the road hard. We're going to do like just some shows and it's been really fun. And so I think people in there, it's the same way I felt when she invited me to do it. I was like, oh, that sounds fun and cool. And then to be honest, like everybody I've played the record for, whether it's like people in the label business or like, like Paul Cartwright who played the strings on the album, like they've really, I think that we had so much fun making it that they just get it. Like they hear it and they're like, oh yeah. Like it's taken no translating time. I've been making this analogy to Ash for a few months now that like what I've tried to do several times in my career is like the music equivalent of like when you go to a fancy restaurant and you're not quite sure what you're eating, but it's good, right? They're like, there's an emulsifier and this, and you end up eating like 2 dollops. There's like a dollop of this and like a strange cracker that looks like a daisy. And you're like, wow. And you take a bite and you're like, I'm not even sure what that is. And I think I like it. And I know this is nice and interesting, but it takes some time. And then maybe a month later, you're like, that restaurant was really good. Like, that was crazy. But it's such an adjustment.
Yep.
And I always joke that like what we've made is like, this is spaghetti and it's marinara and there is fresh basil. And you're like, I love spaghetti, dude. Like there's a kind of a like straight, but it might not be the most original, never been done before thing, but it's like, you like this. Like this is jeans and a t-shirt. Like this is.
It has been done. Like I said, it was surprised. Like it felt like it had been done much more than it hadn't. But the band thing, of course, yeah, it's been done. But it also feels like the band thing is a bit of a. It's like we're a little far away from it, at this point. It doesn't feel like...
Yeah, if you want to be successful, don't start a band. Like, no one would have probably recommended it, but good thing we were doing it in total secret, you know? We didn't, tell anyone in the public. We didn't tell our managers. We were very, very private about the whole thing. And really the people that Finneas brought in to the secret was David and Ricky, who became a part of it.
Yeah.
And it was so safe. And
it's the other magic of a band name too, is it takes a little bit of the identity away in a fun way, where you're like, oh, are you guys the Favors? And you're like, yes. And then you're like, are David and Rat part of the Favors? And you're like, yeah. Like it's a band. You know what I mean? Like it's sort of, it's us on the cover, but it's like, that's the fun part about a band in general,
Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The Hudson. We talked a lot about LA, kind of, I feel like, geographically, and you're in Nashville, and I feel like some of that was brought to bear. So the Hudson is a bit of it's a gorgeous song on the album. Love it.
There's a lot of New York on this record. I mean, Lake George is in New York. Times Square Jesus is New York. Home Sweet Home is a bar on the Lower East Side. So it's a lot of New York. It's more New York than LA.
But it's interesting because we wrote the, album and did it all in LA, and it does have this very New York identity to it. And I think like Finneas and I both have a very like sweet and romantic, relationship with New York. Like my first trip to New York, I was like falling in love with a guy that was an alcoholic and like,
oh my gosh,
was like not very good to me. And like, and then that's it. The city became that for a while. And then I went with someone I was in a good relationship with and I loved, and it became, so, and I think similarly, you had told me that
my high school girlfriend moved away to New York to go to college. And so I had such a like young and immature feeling of like choosing this choosing this place over choosing like any semblance of a, relationship with me. I was like, oh my God, you're moving away from your whole life and me as part of it.
Damn.
And so I was
New York is your David's brother.
Oh, I was like mad at New York, the city, mad at it,
Wow.
And then I'd like go to New York in that chip on your shoulder way of like, this isn't so special, which of course it is, dude. New York is the best.
Yeah.
But like,
well, the best is strong. I don't know.
It's
very
amazing.
Great.
It is
It's
an
very
amazing city.
Yes.
And I think that like, again, it's a testament to like our relationships with people informing our relationships with places. You know, I mean, like Ash is my Nashville friend. Like I go to Nashville, I'm like, yay, I get to see Ash. Like, I don't know how I feel about Nashville. I just know I like the person that lives there, so I get to hang out with her. It's like, these places are informed by your history with them. LA for me, California for Ash, like I grew up there, so it's like my whole life is informed the way I feel about LA, So it's easy to write about LA because it's where I've lived my whole life. But yeah, New York is a kind of a ghost story.
And you were at least partially raised San Jose?
Yeah.
Fully raised San Jose?
Fully raised. And I was there till 19, and then I went to college in Boston. So, and then Nashville was my first like pit stop, but after college.
Do you feel connected to San Jose still?
California.
Northern.
No, none of my family is there anymore. Wow. They all left, and people divorced, and family died, and there's not like a
Lifeline.
sweetness to it anymore. LA feels more like home in California now. I lived there for 8 years.
Yeah.
So, and my two of my closest friends live here, and there's Finneas, and it's I have a different relationship with LA now than the old home.
But also, I mean, an album, there's kind of like the three places that you just keep having to go to. Like we had to go to New York and do a bunch of promo, which is fun, but like somewhere you have to go to. Go to like London, which we just did too. There's like, it is like, there's no right place to live when you're making an album.
Yeah.
Because you have to go to the other place.
You don't have to go to Nashville.
I guess if you're not making a country record, you kind of don't have to go to Nashville.
That's okay.
But it's the same deal where you're always kind of pulled off to do some other thing.
But you know, all the storytellers in Nashville like want us there. Like
We should go. Yeah.
at some point.
Yeah. Want to ask about one more song, and then I want to ask you guys to play the Hudson.
That's right. Yeah.
Ordinary People. It's an outlier on the record.
Sure.
And you guys went full jazz.
Yeah.
Like, which was like awesome. I loved it.
The first song, like you brought in Little Mess and I brought in the Hudson, but we sat on your couch
Yeah, and wrote Ordinary People.
in like an hour.
But like my memory is like we sat on the couch writing Ordinary People while Claudia like put on her Halloween costume.
Yeah.
Wow.
Before we went to a Halloween party.
Yeah, I was baking an olive cake for us or something. Yeah.
That sounds like the scene of the song. By the
I mean,
way.
that was the fun part
Exactly.
about making the whole record was it was little vignette after little vignette of like, oh, let's all go sit by the pool. And like, you know, it had a real kind of atmosphere, which I liked. Because sometimes like the thing that has kept me out of traditional music studios is like, yes, there is an atmosphere, of course, but like it is different from real life. And I like the atmosphere of like, yeah, my dog is in the living room with me and I'm kind of on the couch thinking about that and getting my head straight. So yeah, the jazz song I think was like, what if we wrote a little jazz song?
A ditty.
And then kind of did that call and response, like Baby It's Cold Outside thing. Yeah. And yeah,
Sounds like you crack up during part of it.
I laughed on
Yeah.
mic, which was fun. And
Which
then
was a demo.
it was a live take. Yeah. And then we re-recorded it and I was like, no, the live take is so great. Just put out the live take. But yeah, I mean, I think that song, which is totally an outlier, is sort of a like, this can be whatever we want. And the only thing that we're trying to care about is quality control, right? If we'd written a really bad jazz song, we'd be like, all right, well,
We'll cut that.
that was
for
fun,
Sure.
but we'll take that off. But it was just kind of had like a joy to it that I was like, this is cute and kind of
you literally giggle.
it's kind of a bite of ginger, you know. It's like, oh, it's a little palate cleanser in the middle of this record that's pretty, like that's not a heartbreaking song at all. That's a very sweet, lovey-dovey
Super sweet.
song.
Yeah.
What's that line of like, you say we're no good for each other, you're too selfish for a lover, which I think is so funny. And and then don't worry, I'll be early, I'm not ready is cute too.
But I'll wait.
I'll just wait outside.
I'll just wait outside.
But I don't know, it was just like a really cute, like that again, like so in that fictional vein of like, these are like, who are these characters and what are these moments and how do we build this kind of, you know, aesthetic. It's really fun.
I fell in love with those characters.
Cool. That's awesome.
I was like, I
Me
kind of want more of
too.
these two, you know?
I
It's like-
love them. Yeah. I think they're really special.
There's a lyric on the Hudson. Just want to ask you guys to play that. Like to me, like just it took. I didn't hear it the first couple of times I listened, but then it's like, you know, after a handful of times, I don't know what I believe. Have faith in me.
Oh yeah.
Or I don't know what I believe. Have faith in me. I put my trust in
the
you.
only truth.
The only
The only
truth.
truth I know is you.
The only truth I know is you.
Great Ash line, man.
That's you.
Yeah.
That
Amazing.
whole song is Ash. It's so great.
Well, second verse is Finneas. But
My couplet.
on the balcony, I gave you my coat to sit on the balcony. I'd catch a cold if it keeps you
Catch a
warm.
cold, that's a
if
great
that's
line,
not the
too.
most Finneas ass lyric.
It's a great line too.
But such great lyrics on that song.
Yeah. I like heard a not joke that's like every great song is a worship song. And I was like, whoa. Then they were like kind of talking about the Hudson in that context. And I was like, oh shit. We do say, I don't know what I believe. Please have faith in me. The only truth I know is you. And I'm like,
yeah, it's kind of
whoa.
religious
like you
based.
could sing it in church, maybe.
Yeah.
Sure.
But yeah.
That was like one of the
Did I-
first lines Ash played for me was like the trees were bare naked and so were we. And I was like, oof, that's such a like that has so much feeling to me in it. And it kind of comes out of nowhere, which I really liked.
Two old strangers sharing really personal things. I was like, I'm a good songwriter.
That's a great.
I was really proud of that one.
That's a great.
Yeah, on your Paul Simon shit. It's awesome.
That that made me think of Still Crazy
Old
after all
Friends.
these years. When he's got, I saw an old lover on the street
Had a
last
few
night.
beers.
You know, I was like, oh,
Still crazy.
it's like insane. But I mean, it obviously wasn't like, but it just was like, oh my god, this is really. There's just amazing stuff.
Thank you.
Should we close it out with the song?
Be great.
Let's do it.
Great.
Thanks.
You were late for the last train home. We had a way of losing track of time. The trees were bare and naked, and so were we. Two old strangers sharing really personal things. Watch the sun ascend on the Hudson. He touched my head and kissed my neck. Said you forgot how good I felt on your lips. And I thought, God, I hope he remembers this. I don't know where I belong. All I've ever known is gone. I've got nothing but you to lose. I don't know what I believe. Please have faith in me. The only truth I know is you.
You took my coat, sit on the balcony. I catch a cold if it keeps you warm. The lake was frozen and so were we. But we both know we won't make it to spring.
I don't know where I belong. All I've ever known is gone. I've got nothing but you to lose. I don't know what I believe. Please have faith in me. The only truth I know is you. Let's meet back here a year from now. Maybe then it works out. I'll try not to think about you in June. But come December and come the storm, fall back into my arms. Walk the Hudson back to you. I don't know where I belong. All I've ever known is gone. I've got nothing but you to lose. I don't know what I believe. Please have faith in me. The only truth I know is you. The only truth I know is you. The only truth I know is you.
Thanks for checking out Broken Record on YouTube. If you want to listen to us on the go, be sure to subscribe to Broken Record wherever you listen to podcasts.